overreacting for banning my son's friend from any more playdates after I had to help him wipe. For some context, my youngest is 6 years old. He's potty trained and I've always taught him and my other kids when they were younger how to wipe and take care of toilet time themselves. All of my kids knew how to use the bathroom properly by age 4. Accidents did still happen, but that's just standard. My son recently made a new friend, also 6, at his school. He seems to be a new addition in his class as my son tells me he's not been there before, and I've also not seen the child before up until a few weeks ago. Yesterday at pickup, my son and his new friend run up to me to ask if he can come over for dinner. I'm a firm believer in meeting the parents first to discuss anything important like allergies, health issues, and also just because it should be the standard to at least know a little bit about the parents. Before I could actually get a yes or a no out, the boy's mom comes over and says she'll pick him up at 7. This put me on the spot, so I said that's fine, even though it felt a little weird that she didn't seem concerned about who her child was going off with. We exchanged numbers, and I took the boys back to ours. About an hour in, I hear my son's friend calling for some help while he was in the bathroom. He told me he's done his poo and needs me to wipe. Honestly, I was taken aback because my own son knows how to do this, and I wasn't made aware by the boy's mom that he didn't know how to wipe yet. I also just felt uncomfortable with it, since I wouldn't want a stranger wiping my child, so I didn't want to be doing that to someone else's child who I hardly even know. It just felt morally wrong to be doing this without explicit permission from a parent. I tried to talk him through it with the door closed, which took a while, but finally it all seemed fine and he came out. 7 p.m. rolls around and finally his mom comes to pick him up. I explained the situation to her as nice as possible and said that respectfully, until her son knows how to wipe himself, he shouldn't be going to play dates and that until then, he can no longer come over. She didn't say anything and left pretty abruptly. Later on, I get a message from her saying, I was wrong to not have helped as now he had poop all over his backside, which is why I should have helped. I explained again that I wasn't comfortable doing that with someone else's child, especially when I wasn't notified about it beforehand. She called me petty and cruel for leaving him like that and said I was massively overreacting. I feel bad for leaving the child like that, although I didn't know he was covered in poo and definitely wasn't going to check if he had wiped properly. But I also feel as though my reasoning was valid.
Man, that's weird. Oh my, 6 years old, like 2 years past, like wiping time, and you just like.
What does he do at school?
Right, and you just let him as a parent. You're just like, yeah, peace, buddy. Like
and
with no pre-warning.
No warning.
Like that's a significant thing.
That is a significant thing. You should most definitely be telling the other parents if this is. If you're aware of it, which I'm sure you are, obviously, you should be telling other people.
Right.
This is not. That's disrespectful.
It's disgusting.
It is a little bit. I don't think I would be able to handle it myself, but.
I would definitely be like trying to walk the kid through it on the other side of the door.
That's what she did.
And then I'd be like, okay, now you wipe again. Do you see any brown on it? Yes. Okay. Now you wipe again and you check.
Yeah.
See any brown on it? Yes.
But also
rinse and repeat.
Come on. I should not have to be doing that.
Yeah.
Like, this is definitely an error on the mom.
How all over his backside? Like, how was that up past his pants? Because I would just, be like, all right, did you get anything on your back? Maybe really, are you going to think, wiping it went all the way up past his jean lines? Where you're like, hey, just lift up the back of your shirt. You want to make sure there's no poop at the top of your pants? I don't think I would even be asking that. You would think, okay, wipe it until you don't see anything.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, I don't see anything. All right, you're good to go, bud. It's fucking weird.
I think it's definitely appropriate that she was like, until he can wipe his own ass, he's not coming here.
Absolutely.
And come on, you should have told me. You should have warned me. This is so inappropriate.
You already did a red flag when you didn't even care to meet me or anything, and you're just sending your son off with me. It's like you knew you were just pawning him off on me.
And you didn't even ask me. You didn't even let me say yes or no.
Yeah.
He came up and was like, I'm coming over.
Exactly.
And the mom is like, I'll pick him up at 7.
I would have immediately been like, no.
Yeah.
I would have come up with some excuse. No, we have this to do tonight, but I'm happy to plan something in the future. I'm not being taken off guard on the spot like that.
Exactly.
I don't care if I'm feeling like I'm rude.
I'm not succumbing to peer pressure like that.
Yeah. I'm saying no, but we can arrange a time. I'm not being unprepared for this.
Yeah.
I don't know you. Be a little psycho I let in my house.
Yeah, exactly. Top comment. Not overreacting. I would not be comfortable doing this for a child this day and age. Nor would I ever ask another person to do this for my child without first warning them and finding out if it's an issue. If the child has a disability, that is another issue, but I have never known for the parents to be so blasé about it. Most parents with disabled children will make sure anyone watching them gets a full rundown on what to do. I still can't get over letting the kid go to your place without talking with you more. That's something I haven't seen or heard of since the 80s or 90s.
Right? Yeah. That's like the old school mentality of
Just trusting everybody.
everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine.
There are a couple edits. I want to add some details since there's a lot of assumptions. 1. I didn't intentionally leave him with poop on his backside. He told me he was done and I wasn't about to check if that was the truth. 2. No one was humiliated. The boys were still playing when Mom came to pick him up, and I quietly told her what had happened. The boy did not hear, and my son also wasn't aware of the situation. 3. They are still friends at school, so none of them have lost a friend. I simply do not want the other boy to be at my house until he can wipe, and for obvious reasons, my son won't be going to his house, and they both seem happy with that. 4. If it was my husband who had been asked to wipe the boy, would he be expected to as well? I have a feeling if I was a man in this situation, no one would have wanted me to help wipe the child. And I think that's so valid. Another edit. I've just got back from school pickup and another mom called me over while I was in the car park and asked how the playdate went. I didn't share the full story, but the first thing she asked me was if there was any toilet issues. I didn't want to make light of the situation, so I said no, but she told me that before half term, the same boy had been to their home and had the exact same issue I did. She told me her son went into the bathroom with him to demonstrate and checked he was fine, so this isn't the first time that this has happened, and obviously the mom is very aware. I didn't mention it and said it was all fine because I don't want that information being shared, but clearly it's an issue that needs addressing, and I was not a one-off case.
She like gate kept the secret from the other mom. Like I feel like I didn't want it to spread around, but it's like you're almost kind of being rude for not like confirming,
Validating her.
Yeah, you like unvalidated her.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, everything was good with me, and she's like, why the fuck did it happen to me then? When you could have been like, oh yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but I had an issue at my house too. Like,
I think you could have said something.
I think it's only fair to like validate that mom being like, she wants to know like, hey, was this a one-off for me?
Yeah.
Or is he been doing this every single time?
Yeah.
It sounds like hung out at her house first.
Mm-hmm.
This has already been an issue. What if the mom who drops the kid off has done nothing wrong? She has trained her kid to wipe himself, and the kid knows how to wipe himself, and he gets off on asking the other parent.
6 years old.
He thinks it's funny to ask other people to help him.
I highly doubt that. The mom wouldn't have reacted like that.
True. Because I'm just thinking here, I'm like, okay.
She would have been like, what are you talking about?
Okay, but it sounds like this parent went through this first.
Yeah.
And then kid went in and helped him wipe, and he learned how to wipe. And then when he went to her house, he still said, I need help and stuff. He learned how to do it, and now he still needs help.
That was probably months ago.
And he's never had to wipe since?
Yeah, because at home his mom wipes his ass.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just thinking, like, you know, what if, like, the mom did nothing wrong and the child just, every time he goes somewhere new, he asks for help?
I don't think so. I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
Most 6-year-olds, I feel like,
Too far out there?
that...
Too far out there?
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Back to me.
you.